Welcome to the Garage Network podcast. Join us and the occasional special guest as we discuss everything automotive, from fixing cars as a technician, owning an automotive workshop or business, overall work-life balance, and even the occasional laugh. In this episode of TGN Talks, we're joined by Carlton Quay from C.Q Auto Electrics and Mechanical Repairs. This podcast is a bit different to the ones we've done in the past. It was more based around work-life balance, how we're navigating, running a small mechanical business, a company with young families. So it's quite insightful to see how we're sort of managing those aspects and also how we're dealing with running a workshop day to day. So we hope that you guys enjoy this as it was a pretty good conversation that we had. Thanks.
And when we spoke briefly at Pete's seminar thingy that he did, the succession planning one, and you've got a few guys on, right?
Just the one.
Just the one guy, yeah, okay, yeah.
We're actually a very small shop, and I've got to work for a couple more, and I desperately want to put someone else on, but I've just got no room for them.
Yeah.
So we're in the process of some renovations. So watching your shop take off is pretty inspiring. We're not going to be quite to that level, but another hoist in there would be great. Another mechanic in there would be great.
Yeah. Well, mate, at least you got hoists in there at the moment. Dulwich has 0 hoists in there. Mate,
looks great when it's empty.
Oh, mate, it's been a work in progress. But I think the kickoff date's the first of March. So we're only a few weeks away. I think we've got a date for the install, which is good. So we'll see how we go.
Exciting to see it all pretty and taking shape.
Absolutely. It's getting there. So are we doing a formal intro then, Costa, or we're sort of like just running?
I'm happy to just run. I mean, unless you really, Peter, do you want a formal intro? I feel like you want one.
No, I don't need a formal intro in particular, but
Peter, do a formal intro. And what we'll do is we'll still start from earlier, but we'll have the formal intro.
Well, I just want people to know that they've got Carlton on the podcast today.
Do it,
Carlton from C.Q Auto Electrical and Mechanical. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
So, and I suppose what we really wanted to know, or I suppose the major thing is work-life balance, juggling family, and how we go about doing it. So, how many kids have you got, Carlton?
Just the one. He's just turned 3 in December. So yeah, that's 5, 6 weeks ago.
There you go.
Absolute bundle of energy, but
hands full. And do you draw, mate? Because I've got 2 kids as well, right? So I've got 2 girls, and I started off my business journey pretty early in the piece. I was, when I say early in the piece, the girls were young. So when Sophia was born was the year I actually started the business. So I actually had my ass hanging big time early on in the piece. I just bought a new business, just sort of moved in, taken it over. Times were really tough. It was very slow. And I found myself working a lot of hours, actually, just trying to sort of make ends meet. And then trying to sort of juggle that with a newborn was really, really difficult. And then funnily enough, as we sort of grew a little bit and moved into the larger shop, we actually had our second. And then I had my ass hanging there as well, just trying to build it.
So you say now Dulwich Hill now is almost open. So are you saying
no, fuck no. Shop shut, mate.
Yeah.
If I can get the snip, forget it. No more. No, mate, I'm done. Two's plenty for me. I got 2 beautiful girls, plenty for me. But I had made a lot of problems early in the piece, just trying to sort of juggle my time with a new family. It was really, really hard. Obviously, my wife wasn't working at the time because she'd taken time off to care for the young one, and it was really, really difficult trying to sort of adapt and find the time. And I sort of want to know, because you seem to be juggling it well, or I mean, from external looking out in, it looks like you're doing well. So, I mean, was there any sort of hints or tips or anything that you sort of changed the way you did things to sort of make sure you had a bit more family time?
I mean, look, simply prioritize it. That's probably the absolute answer. But I know my story is actually very similar to yours. When I heard about your father and how you took over the business, that really resonated with me because I've got a very similar story. But I was lucky enough to get it up and established before Archer came along. And when Archer came along, I made a really I'd done the 60 hours a week. I busted my ass every day. Didn't even make a great deal much more money doing that. Then decided, you do 40% more time for 5% more money. It doesn't sort of always work. But then when Archer came along, it wasn't even a decision. I just looked at him and thought, I need every second I can with this kid. And at the time, so look, health and fitness is a big part of our family life. My wife's serious into it, and I go to the gym a fair bit. So we had to factor it all in, and we just got a rhythm and a schedule, and we just make time. And come 5 o'clock, Lauren goes off to the gym. I look after Archer, which is why it was a struggle to get this all up and running by the time I got home. But you just got to prioritize it. Like at the end of the day, 5 o'clock, big job on, customer screaming. It's 5 o'clock. I'm going home to my son, and the customers that don't get that, I don't really want to do work for. But I mean, not like if it's an important job, I can stay back for an hour or so. But I just value my time with him so much. It's really easy to choose over work. But it does mean I've got to be a lot more efficient during the day to make sure everything gets done so that come 5 o'clock I can get home and I'm not too flustered, so I can be present when I'm home. But yeah, I think with anything in life, you've just got to prioritize it and choose to make it happen. Because as you know, with newborns, they don't have a real good schedule. And they're pretty demanding, and as they get older, they get more demanding. And even on his bad days, when he's not happy or he's tired or grumpy, I just want to be there and be part of it more than I want to be anywhere else.
Yeah, mate, I love it. I think it's really good actually.
And
I'm assuming you're a 5-day-a-week business.
Yeah, we did do Saturdays, but when Arch came along, that just stopped because like my wife works and she wanted to go back to work. But it does put a bit of a strain financially on not having those extra hours I was using that to go into the bookwork. But we just got to find a way to do it. And much like anything, if you want to, you find time. You just find it.
That's what I've always struggled with. Like, I do struggle with time sometimes. I feel like I run out of it. But you are right. You seem to always, what you prioritize gets done. And then you realize what things that aren't that important, and you're like, oh man, that didn't happen. But the reality is that's normally the non-important things. So you are right. I think by default, a lot of us sort of do that, don't we?
You get in the habit of wasting time. Like,
fuck yeah, man.
We like Laura and I sit out for hours. We never did that. I'm up at a bus 4 to go to the gym, get home, spend an hour or so with him, and go to work. I've created myself a bit of a time there, but I want to go to the gym. I want to be with Archer more than I want to hang out with mates or watch TV or, go. That's what I want to do. It's just choice making happen. You've got to give something up sometimes. And running a business, as we all know, very demanding, but you've got to get yourself into a spot where you can switch off at the end of the day. I think if you can't, it's not worth it. But, your mental health and stuff, it's just not worth any amount of money. So I choose to. Funny enough, I got a bit stressed in my early years. I started running this place probably late 20s when my dad got a bit sort of a bit old, and I found myself bringing it home, and I put some real effort into switching off on the drive home, so that when you get home, you are present, and that hour you might have with your kids, it's not an hour sat thinking about the car you just fixed or didn't fix.
Yeah, that's a skill, man. That is a skill in itself. Honestly, it is.
I have this thing where I turn up to work. So I make sure that when I turn up to work, so I normally train in the morning. So I go to the gym in the morning and I go to work clothed in my gym gear or whatever clothes I'm wearing, and I get changed at work. And then when I leave work, I get changed at work back into my gear and then go home. So I draw a line in the sand as to what is work and what is play. So I make a very conscious effort not to get changed into my uniform at home and then drive, because then your day starts from when you leave the house, right?
I've always done
So
that, not for that reason, but
yeah,
it's a great reason.
yeah. So I found that quite good. My dad used to do that actually, and I knew that Dad was quite present as soon as, and Dad used to work really long hours, and he'd leave the workshop and he'd come home quite late. But I'd see he'd come home and he was disconnected from work. He was connected to us, disconnected from work. So, I sort of picked up a little bits and pieces from him over the years, and it's been pretty good. But you definitely have to draw a line in the sand, otherwise you'll never get any downtime with the family.
There's no point being with them if you're not with them.
Yeah.
And it does take practice. Like sometimes you bring it home. I've had a bad day and I've not been the greatest dad on those days before, but my wife's actually fantastic at recognizing that and stepping up on those days.
Yeah.
And she's a pretty driven woman herself, so it's very easy to see how hard she's working and then get home and think, I've got to be on here,
Yeah.
It's not, yeah, we just both want to do the best, but yeah, it's definitely a skill. It's definitely something that you need to practice and be aware of.
No, I've got a question for you guys, because this is something that I'm probably guilty of. So, and I don't know if this is something that's norm, because I'll be honest, I probably don't have many friends. This sort of conversation is a bit different, owning a business at a younger age and all that sort of stuff. But did you find, any of you find yourself putting sort of family off the cards for a little while until you're sort of ready to have the time or be able to make the time? Or was it something that you made the time once it happened?
I'll let you go, Carlton. Go
I
for it.
didn't hear some of that, mate. Was that like,
So did any of you guys that sort of put off, let's say, having a kid until you got to a certain point in your life, or did you just, when you had the kid, then adapt your life to that? Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, so I'm a bit, I probably put having a kid off for a little while. And that was because of certain goals that I had in my brain that I had to achieve prior to, so that I can have the time to then have that quality time with them and not be stressed financially or have to go back to work at 7, 8 o'clock at the night time. And like, took me a while to overcome that. I have to be in a certain position before I go ahead and have the family. Now, did any of you have that, or did you just have the family work it out?
I didn't do it deliberately.
Yeah.
I was sort of thrust into the business fairly early, and just wasn't a situation. Like I met my partner fairly late in life, but I mean, I think waiting will be the wise thing to do. But I didn't do it out of wisdom. I did it out of just circumstance.
Yeah.
Then I met my wife, and everything happened very quickly. From the day I met her, I knew how amazing she was, and
Nice.
only a few years later, and but I got mates who've had kids really young, and they've made the best of the situation they could. But it's definitely nice to have that wisdom as an older person. I shouldn't say older person, but as a more mature person. So, like, I'm not going out to the pub every Saturday night like I used to be, and I want to be home. So I don't feel I'm missing out on anything. We've finished doing all that sort of stuff, and to be in a position that I can provide for him, spoil him, which we've got to watch because he wants toys everywhere. But you got to spoil him, and I wanted my wife to be able to stay home and look after him.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go back to work. And she works part time, and she's a really hard worker. She puts that work effort into him more than anything else. She's amazing. So I think waiting is wise, but I didn't choose to.
Look, I think that's actually pretty good, Carlton, as well, that you say, like, the timing's got to be right as well. But I think for me, I don't think there's ever going to be the ultimate time, or the right time. So,
Damn, I'm out of luck.
you know, that Ron, that you guys are into your fitness. The Ronnie Coleman saying, "Ain't nothing to it but to do it." In other words, just fucking get stuck in. So there's never gonna be the right time. Is it going to be ever the right time to start the business or start the family or whatever? So I sort of, I thought to myself, okay, well, look, I wanted to get myself into a position financially where I thought, all right, well, I can sustain a family if I need to. But it sort of got to a point where I was like, okay, if I just keep saying a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, it may never happen. And I might be a bit too long on the journey. So I sort of, you know me by now, Costa, I just sort of tried to throw myself in the deep end and just fucking swim as hard as I can, So I sort of, I put myself in a position where I've got photos of my youngest in a stroller in the workshop because we had no one to care for her on those days. So she was in the back of the workshop while I was fixing cars in the front. Now, I don't know if that's fucking bad parenting 101, but
you had to, right? Like you had to make it work.
So be it. Well, mate, I had no option at the time, and I don't really have any regrets for that. But I suppose what I'd say is, you know what? If you've got a mouthful, you just chew like crazy, and I think that's just human nature, man. You just make it work or you make it happen. So is there a right time? Look, maybe not. Will there ever be a right time? Probably not.
Probably not.
So you just get stuck in and do it, I think. So, and that was my philosophy anyway. Got stuck in and do it. And like I said, I had the second one when we did the second shop. And that was,
man, third shop, dude.
I'll tell you, that was bloody hard. Oh, man, that was hard. So
I'll have to have a chat with you, Mrs. Mate. Third shop, I think it's time.
No, man, no, shop's closed, mate. Shop's closed. Finished. No, mate, two's plenty.
I actually live 100 meters away from work. And
nice.
My little guy was in at work every day just for a visit. But having him in the workshop, having photos of him turning the hoist up and down and stuff like that. I've got one where we've got matching ratchets, a big one and a little one.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. They're just having him in at work every day. It's awesome. It may not be the best parenting. We let him run around the shop a little bit. But it's just awesome having him in there.
Yeah. And I think it's good, mate. I was, as a young bloke, I got exposed to the workshop really early in the piece, and I used to go there after school and school holidays and hang out at the workshop. And, I suppose mum and dad really didn't have any option. Mum was working full time, dad was working full time, and I was just at the workshop. And I think it sort of for me, it built character. And I actually quite enjoy those moments. And I've sort of passed that on to the kids as well. But there was a bit of a time in my life. We were working 6 days a week for a long time. And there was a time in my life where Sophia was getting a little bit older, and I had to actually make a decision then and there as to what I was going to do, whether I was going to keep pursuing a 6-day week or work out how I was going to get it done in 5, make the money I needed to, and then spend some time with them on the Saturday and the Sunday. And that was a massive sort of shift as well in the work-life balance, is when I started thinking, okay, well, did mum and dad come and see me play soccer during the course of my growing up? And the answer really was no, because they were working the Saturdays. And I thought, I have to make a change, and it's got to be conscious, and I need to think about how I'm going to do this as well. So just trying to fit in that balance was really, really hard. But like you, Carlton, you said you're doing 6 days for a while there, and then you trimmed it out.
We just cut them. I don't remember my parents being at a lot of sporting events and stuff like that on the weekends. When Archie came, there was no decision to be made. We just did it, made it happen, and don't regret it for a second.
Yeah. Can I ask? Did your this might be a bit of a personal question, but the bottom line suffer a little bit in the business when you trimmed out the Saturday?
Not a great deal. We were only ever going Saturdays for paperwork and so forth. About that time, I'd made the decision, because we're a fairly primitive business. And what we were doing with, we weren't very efficient. We weren't charging enough. So around that time, and it wasn't necessarily just because Archer was here, but all around that time, I decided I wanted to become more efficient and make more money, work smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
So we sort of increased the profit margins and charged a bit more, put the hourly rate up all around that same time. So it didn't suffer a great deal.
Yeah.
A little bit more time poor at work, trying to manage the paperwork in the office at the same time as fixing all the cars. And, we had an apprentice at the time. He's now qualified. So a lot of that load sort of changed, but didn't suffer a great deal. Definitely suffered a bit. But, it was more a case of now I spend an hour during the day doing paperwork where I would have done that on a Saturday.
Yeah.
But I'll occasionally work back late one night if it's something that can be done. If it's just an hour or so, Lawrence looks after a bit extra time. I just make sure I see him before he goes to bed and spend some time with him.
Yeah.
And funny enough, that's for me more than anything else. I miss him all day, so
yeah,
we make sure that happens. I've only probably worked back late and not seen him maybe once or twice in the 3 years he's been with us. But look, not measurably did it suffer. And I think if you consciously, are trying to be as efficient as you can, I think you should be able to absorb it. And even if you can't put a price in those years anyway. So
yeah,
I would have happily set financially for it.
Yeah, mate. Well, I think I think it's important to note that you sort of started looking a bit more around your efficiencies and how you're actually charging out your time, working a little bit more on the business rather than, I suppose, in it. Very cliche to say, but started thinking, okay, well, look, if I'm going to trim that time out, where am I deficient in the business, and how do I pick that back up again? Whether it be addressing hourly rate, addressing fee for service, looking at charge outs, maybe trimming in your parts margins a little bit, or maybe standardizing them a bit more, identifying that you needed to become more efficient to make the same sort of money that you were now that you've trimmed out your hours on the Saturday.
Yeah, well, we're a very small business, so we didn't need a lot of work to be busy, and we spent years with cars parked down the street and just running around like cats with our heads cut off, and not necessarily making a great deal of money because of it. We're making money, we're busy, but not necessarily being that profitable.
Yeah.
And it was all around that time that I wanted to become more efficient, and it was a bit of a bump. Look, and I now need to be more efficient. And I wanted to. I'd always said my whole life I never want to get off the tools. I never want to sit in the office. I don't want to do that. That's not who I am. And it wasn't until more recent years that I realised that if this business is taking the next step, I need to do that. I need to work, like I say, on the business, not in the business. And it took me a few years to be comfortable with that. And I'm still fixing cars every day, but I've sort of accepted that where I want to go, that won't be the case. And no, I've done it for long enough that I think I'm not going to miss it. Like it's not as long as I can touch the occasion or break something occasionally. I'll be all right. But again, even if I wasn't happy with it for Archer, happily do it. If that's what we've got to do, that's what we've got to do.
Mate, good. I think that's pretty spot on. Like,
yeah,
I mean, we
smashed it.
We often think about that work-life balance, and it's a really popular topic when we sort of put it up on the Garage Network as well. And you often get a few different ideas about how to sort of balance it, work-life, and it is difficult. So I think it's important for people, if they are listening, to understand that it is difficult. Even the best of us struggle with it, trying to balance the work life. And I'm not going to say that I'm at home at 5 o'clock on the dot every day. There's definitely days where I'm putting in a massive effort, but then I try to offset those days with additional time that I can spend with the kids. So I attended this seminar a while ago, and everyone talks about work-life balance. And this particular guy was talking about, he called it work-life blend rather than work-life balance. And I found it really interesting that he said that, because what he was getting at was, well, you're going to have to blend the two together at some point. Now, it might be give or take. So you might have to spend, hours at work, and you might have to put in a fair effort, maybe Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but then you might have Thursday or Friday that you don't need to put the hours in, and you've blended that back in with your family. So rather than doing your Monday to Friday and then your Saturday, Sunday with the family, there might be a blend that you can sort of make, or an ideal world. Yeah, an ideal world that you can make work. So I actually found it quite interesting, his take on that. I thought it was good. But yeah, for mates, even the best of us work the hours and put it in. So I just, anyone that's watching this that thinks that they're putting in the hours and not spending time with the family, it's normal, you know. And over time, they'll start to work through that.
That's my fear. I'll be honest, guys. That's my fear. My fear is I'm getting to the point in the end where it's probably time. The reality is it is time, and I think I've achieved the stuff that I wanted to achieve, and probably a while ago, and then new things came up that I wanted to achieve. So then that took it back. Then when they were achieved, then the new thing was there to achieve, and then the new thing was there
like
to
the
achieve.
workshop with no hoists in it at the moment.
Yeah, like then I was talking about it with Mrs. She's like, well, okay, well, you have to decide when, like, you're gonna make the call, yeah, because I'm the one that always says, oh, things have to be right, all that sort of stuff. Now, did you guys notice that? I think the question I have that I was going on was related to goals, right? Did goals change? Did you notice your goal? I'm going to assume priorities obviously change, right? Because kids there, and obviously you want to spend time with your as much as you can with your child. But did you notice any of your goals changing? Did it affect your vision and what you wanted going forward after that sort of father time happened?
It was thinking for me. Like for me, the goal was always to. Well, my father was working in the business, and dad passed away a few years ago. But my goal was always around being a success and being able to allow him to continue to come in and be part of the business, even though he's probably past being a big contribution to the business. And then when Archer come along, it was all about providing for him and being available to him. You know, like we have to be profitable for me to be able to take an afternoon off. We can't be that close to the line that if I take an hour off, we don't make any money that week. So we had to be efficient and make money. So being profitable was as important as ever. But I wasn't doing it to buy a nice car or a big house. I was doing it so that I could be available to my son. And it makes it so much easier to work harder when you got something like that as the goal. Like, you know, there's a saying, you know, your why has to be stronger than your why not. And he's such a strong why. He's such a strong reason for me to want to just do better. And look, I use him for inspiration and motivation for nearly everything that I do. Every time it gets hard, it's like, you know, I want to do it. You know, I want to show him that I'm a hard worker. I want to show him how we can get through difficult times, but I want to also do those things and get through those times so that he can benefit from that as well. So my goal shifted very much being, you know, an example for him.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. I would have never thought of that. I would have never thought of that, but that's fucking cool. That's, yeah.
The second you see your kids, you do, you know, it just.
Yeah, right. That's fucking cool. Yeah, right.
So I think for me, in answer to that question, Costa, I think for me, my goals necessarily didn't change all that much. I still sort of had the same vision and passion and drive that I did. But I think my perception of success changed, or what I defined as success changed. So what I defined as success pre-family might have been a little bit different to what I define as success now. And, you know, I think it's different things to different people, but maybe early on in the piece and you're sort of, you might be single or maybe just with a partner and there's, you know, it's pre-family. Your version of success might be money or big business or, you know, driving a fancy car. But then I think what happened with me was my perception of success changed as to what I perceived success to be. But my goals, I think, remain the same. And I very much similar to you, Carlton, I find a bit of drive and inspiration in knowing that I've got a why. So I have to really sort of, you know, realize this vision. And it's not just for me that I need to realize it for, you know. So Yeah, but I think the goals remain the same for me in particular. I was really hell bent on realizing this vision that I had of what I wanted to build, but I think my perception or what I perceived as success actually changed. So it for me, it was really never about money in the first place. It was more about trying to realize the vision. But I think the perception of success and what it meant to me changed a little bit as I started to sort of build the family. But the goals, in answer to your question, because the goals for me remain the same. I still had that burning desire, that passion, but then I also had the support of the family to do it, and push me through. So so my why was there.
Yeah, cool. So I would have never, that's why I asked the question. I would have never even thought about it from that point of view, which is quite interesting, actually. Quite interesting.
Yeah, mate. Seasoned
And
professional.
are you guys happy?
Carlton and
I guess probably the biggest one. Are
Hey?
you guys happy? Are you guys happy? Probably the biggest one that probably no one ever asks another man. Are you guys happy?
Yeah, fucking if I'm happy. Yeah, absolutely, I'm happy. Yeah, everyone has shitty days,
Of course.
but all in all, I'm actually very happy, man. I've got a fantastic support network, not just the family, but friends as well. And I definitely think there's probably more to be happy about than unhappy about. You know?
I'm the happiest I've been in my life. I've always been a pretty lucky person. I've had a good life. I've had lots of luck along the way. I've had lots of help along the way. But I've never been this genuinely happy in every aspect of my life.
Amazing.
If my wife ever be bothered sitting watching this podcast, she's a big reason for that. She's amazing. Don't know how I got so lucky, but here we are. I'm not going to question it just in case. But very
You don't
happy.
know the answers.
Yeah, I don't know why. But those shitty days when you come home and you grab your son or your daughter, it's instantly better. I had a pretty crappy day actually on Wednesday. Come home quick flat, and sometimes when I get to the front door, I just take a breath and just try and reset before I walk in. I don't want to walk in and bring that sort of energy down. And I walked in and I couldn't do it. I was struggling. I told my wife what had happened, and I looked up and Archie was like, "Oh, Daddy's home." Give me a big cuddle. And I don't care what's going on at work.
Yeah.
So he just fixed it instantly. We'll deal with this. We'll deal with the problems later. And I am genuinely the happiest in every aspect of my life. So yes, very happy.
Mate, good luck to
I love how
Good
aware you
luck
are,
to
man. That's really cool. Like even being aware enough to try and shake it off at the door and all that stuff. That's really that's again another skill that probably need to learn. I'm gonna write that down.
Well, can I ask you something? Can I ask you something, in Carlton? I know you mentioned that health and fitness is a big part of your life, and it's definitely been a big part of mine. Have you found that that's made a big difference in the way you balance your work and your life? So if I was to say to you, if I was to pull away your health and fitness or your training, do you think that you'd be able to survive in the business the way you've survived in the business or at home or family life?
Look, I'd survive. I have no doubt about that, but it's definitely a good tool to get me through the difficult times. My wife's actually a competitive bodybuilder. So that's serious stuff, like everything.
Yeah, of course.
It's strict and serious. But while I'm not as serious, it's flowed onto me as well. And in that world, there's a lot of, people, I haven't got time to train. And all the experts, all the professionals say, just make time. Let's prioritize it. Let's do it. And it's that ability to just decide to do something that helps me at work. Sometimes I don't want to fix a car or I don't want to do or something. It's just prioritizing and making it happen. And I use it as a mental break as well. I used to find you come home from work and you're having problems diagnosing a car and you're lying in bed at 11 o'clock at night thinking, oh, I'll just run this test and then I'll test that. And that doesn't really happen anymore because when I go to the gym, I'm just exhausted. I come home at night and I'm exhausted, which means I get to sleep quicker, earlier. I get more sleep overall, come back into work Monday, and those thoughts are happening at work. I'm much more efficient with how I work because I slept better. And it's all through training. I've also lost near 25 kilos as well.
Oh,
So
done.
I've got more energy. Definitely sleep
Yeah,
better,
of course.
feel better, and I'm in control. I feel in control of it, which is a big difference. But during COVID, for example, when it all got taken away, um, it was hard. I mean, it's not like I was losing, you know, a limb. It's something I enjoy doing.
Yeah.
Something that's really healthy to do, and to have it taken away and that mental break, to have that removed, I struggled with. But yeah, definitely would be difficult if I couldn't do it. But I actually thought this question might come up, and I thought, I think for anyone listening out there, I think the key to getting through being a business owner in all these difficult times is finding your way out, whether it be gym, art, reading, walking, painting, TV, whatever it might be. Finding that thing that you love and you can switch off genuinely for an hour or so each day.
100%. 100%.
I think that's the answer. And not everyone wants to go to the gym, not everyone wants to read a book, but whatever it is, find a way to switch off and do something that's like, I call it mentally neutral, where you're not sitting there concentrating on work or studying or something like that. Time for yourself. I think that's important.
Yeah, mate. I think you're spot on there. I definitely think you're spot on. I think doing, like you said, being mentally neutral and sort of having that time or ability to switch off. And what I've found, especially with the gym, or if you go to the gym with a partner, or you might even go by yourself, but I found training with someone really sort of assists as well, because you can really sort of push and focus on something other than work, a little bit of time to talk to one another, interaction,
I think it's also got that requirement where you can't think of anything else. Like if you're not concentrating in the gym, you're going to drop something on your head. That's obviously
You
don't need to concentrate all the time. So it's just that good level of minor concentration. And I think like reading books the same, because you can't think of work while you're reading. You don't get it. Painting a picture, I'm not a great artist, but I'm sure you have to concentrate on what you're doing to do it. So I think something on those lines, something where you just forces you to not think about work.
Yeah, definitely.
That's where we use podcasts. You see, that's no plug here. But like I listen to some pretty weird podcasts. It's got nothing to do with anything that most people probably listen to. But it's just so strange and new. It's like a new information sort of thing. And it's not correlated. It's not anything related to anything I actually do in my life. But it's just new information of different things. And like I'll go to the gym, I'll play a podcast, and I'll be training away. Like, oh yeah, this is cool. Mate, absolutely in a different zone, different world. You could come up to me and I would not recognize you. I'm out of it, because I'm so engrossed in this new thing that I've never heard of before. It really works well for me.
Yeah, mate. I think you got to find your zen. It's like you said, Carlton. You can. It's either it could be anything. Could be reading. Could be art. It could be gym. Everyone's got their driver, and I think you've got to find it. And that's probably going to be the key to finding a good balance, isn't it?
That's probably summed it up pretty well, I think.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, definitely. Mate, I think this has been extremely informative. I quite liked talking to you about your balance and your family life and your business life. I think it's been great.
You know what? I'll go one more actually before you wrap up, Pix. I know where you're trying to go. It's not time yet.
No.
If right now you had an opportunity to speak to yourself pre-kids, so forget you don't have to be young. You can be, you can still be a rat bag in your late teens. That's fine.
Yeah, that's right. With my VL turbo.
With your VL turbo, yeah, dosing down Kingsford,
and my mullet hair that I flicking in the wind.
Absolute rat bag. I
can't believe you're
I cannot believe
Valiant as well.
I cannot believe we didn't cross paths. I don't know how. We had the same hairstyles, same cars, same areas. I don't understand it. We must have. I guarantee you we've had dirty looks at each other at some point.
Goodness.
But all right, so to yourself, early 20s, you're plugging away, working away, pre-kids. What advice would you give yourself now if you had to?
Want to take that one? Or?
I want one from each. There's no one's bailing out here, guys. It's one from each at least.
All right,
you have multiple. I'll go multiple because we do have a young audience as well. Remember that, guys.
So I tell you what I'd tell myself, and so this is what I did tell myself, and I wouldn't change this. I think you need to back yourself, right? So if you're going into business, you need to back yourself. Surround yourself with some really inspirational, like-minded peers and mentors and coaches, and just back yourself. And I think backing yourself early on in the piece for me was important, because the way I sort of looked at it was, if I fuck this up, I've got enough time to make this back, right? If I decided at 55 or 60 years old that shit, I want to have a go now, I want to have a go at business. If I fuck that up, I don't have enough time to make that back potentially. So I thought, I'm going to back myself. I'm going to push myself hard while I'm young enough and fit enough to do so, and then hopefully build enough that I can start to build a family. And it sort of worked out for me as well, probably organically. I don't think I'd sort of planned it in that way, but I definitely think the advice that I'd give my younger self is just back yourself.
I think I'd go with everything's going to be okay. You know, all the heartbreak, all the things that didn't work all the time, the businesses weren't, you're worried about it. If I change any of that, Arch wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
So all the things that I regret, I didn't enjoy, and my wife and I have spoken about that. Like, we wouldn't change a thing, because the final result we're at right now is just amazing. And you have to go through those hard times to end up where you are now, and hopefully appreciate it. So I'd just be saying everything's going to be okay. Just put your head down, keep going, you'll be okay.
Yeah.
As long as you work hard and sort of keep an open mind, everything will be okay. And let's face it, generally everything is okay. You can normally, as you said, if you've got time, keep working. If things go wrong at home, you can work on them. You can improve yourself. You can improve everything, really, if you choose to. And if you do keep working at it, everything will be okay.
Mate, top advice.
Nice.
Top
That's
advice.
great advice.
Yeah, top advice. Because you're right, mate. Just keep going. Just keep going. Everything will be okay. It does. It's got a way of working itself out, doesn't it?
All the times in my life where things have gone south or gone bad, and you're sitting in that moment, like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? It's generally okay. You're generally worried more than you.
Really just work. Oh, that was a waste. Yeah.
I've never really been a worrier. I mean, obviously I worry. Everyone worries, but I find it such a wasted sort of emotion, because you start worrying about stuff that you can't control. You start worrying about stuff that doesn't matter. You just worry and worry and worry. Whereas if you just put your head down and keep working towards the goal, even if you don't get there, you're doing better than if you didn't start. So just keep trying.
Well, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, right. Excellent. Exactly. I do like yours as well, Pete. Like, I think the whole backing yourself, I think I was fucking super fortunate. I think when I started my first business, I was 19, right? And I remember I was sitting there because we bought the premises, all that sort of stuff, and almost at the 10th hour, I was about to pull out because I was shitting myself.
Yeah.
Right. And I went to Dad, and Dad was a mechanic as well. I was like, Dad, he's like, what do you, he's like, well, what the fuck are you concerned about? I was like, well, fuck it. What if it doesn't work?
Yeah.
Like,
What does it do?
He said, what's the worst thing that you're 19? If it doesn't work, what's the worst possible thing? What if it fails? Like, okay, what's the worst thing that will happen if it fails? Well, after you sell the shop, it's like, well, you don't fucking have a shop now. So
that's right.
What's the worst thing that's going to happen? I was like, so what I'm trying to say is, like, having that support person, or if you can do it yourself, fantastic, right? But I think when you're younger, it's hard to be like I was saying with you, Colin, like being aware, and knowing, yourself enough to be able to actually either whack yourself out of, get over it and move on with it. If you feel that you can't do that, maybe see if there's someone that can keep you accountable. Like,
and you can
for me, that
overanalyze
worked well
too.
Oh yeah, I almost analyze myself into now. I think that I'm quite the opposite. Like, yeah, fuck it, let's do it. Yeah, fuck it, let's
Quick decisions.
Yeah,
What?
quick
Loan car?
decisions.
Yes.
How many do you have, sir? Yeah.
No, mate. I
Yeah, no.
think you're right. I think you're right, mate. Your dad, very sound advice. Like, mate, yeah, and
And
And,
he was so confused.
and so if it doesn't go well, good, okay. And
Yeah.
then what do we do? Like, you keep moving forward, you know.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario. When worst case scenario really comes along,
It really comes along.
no, and even if it fails, you still got a business you can probably sell. You still got your trade, you still got your skills. You're not losing everything and have to start as a first year apprentice again.
100%.
So, but it's like you were saying before about surrounding yourself with positive people. Like, the saying is, if you surround yourself with 5 stupid people, you'll be the 6th. If you surround yourself with 5 successful people, you'll be the 6th successful person. And that's where things like the Garage Network I really like the people that are all like-minded and thinking of how to be better and how to achieve things. And you bounce the ideas off everybody, and hopefully everyone's thinking about what we can achieve as opposed to what we might not achieve.
Yeah.
It's scary, but you're not going to know if you don't try.
Yeah.
No, mate, I agree. Definitely agree, mate. I think we've covered some extremely valid points.
We have, and I think we'll do we can always do a follow-up in a few months' time. We can do a follow-up and see how everyone's traveling. See if everyone's still as happy as they've ever been.
Costa's going to have kids now, and
you're number 3.
Forward.
Yeah, you're going to have the 3rd one. Yeah, so we'll come back.
No, fuck no, mate. Shops closed. I told you.
Come back in 9 months, and I'll be like, so.
No, mate, I'm done and out, mate. Done and out.
Stop the debate.
Hey.
Stop at perfection.
Yeah, that's right. No, I got two beautiful girls, mate. That's good enough for me, mate. Definitely good enough for me. So
awesome, guys. Look, I appreciate it. Look, for me, it was honestly, this is a topic that probably was a little bit selfish because it's something that I find a little bit interesting. But I'm really hoping that it does help people too. It's probably a bit different to our norm of technical stuff and full businessy blind stuff. But I mean, we can discuss that at a later date. That's fine. And I would like to do a bit of a check-in in a few months' time and just see how everyone's going. You guys up for
absolutely, mate. Absolutely.
First time I've done this, I actually enjoyed it. So love to.
Absolute pro, mate. Absolute pro.
Thanks, Carlton, mate. Thanks for your time, mate. I definitely appreciate your time. I know, obviously, with young family, very difficult, but mate, thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Don't forget to join our private Facebook page if you are an automotive technician, and also subscribe to our YouTube and our podcast channel. They are all called The Garage Network. Thanks, guys, and see you next time.